Have you heard this famous phrase, le verre vert va vers le verre vert? It's crazy, it cracks me up every time. It basically means the green worm goes to the green glass, which is quite weird, but anyways. Salut, je suis Sumo and welcome back to FrenchArena. In today's lesson, we're going to be looking at what? Can you guess? Yeah, homophones. So basically, these are words that sound alike. En commence. Now, in today's lesson, like I said, we're going to take a look at homophones. What are homophones, you might ask? Homophones are words that have the same sound but have the same meaning. And in the French language, we have a ton of them. In the English language, definitely there are. So we're focusing on French. So this is what we're going to look at. Let's look at the first homophone. Number one homophone, e and le. They sound alike, I know, but e, the first one, is used when you're talking about location. So for example, il est au magasin. Il est au magasin. He's at the store. Now for le, you can say il y a de l'eau dans le réservoir. Il y a de l'eau dans le réservoir, which basically means there's water in the tank. If you're a beginner, it might be a bit confusing for you because you're hearing oh, you're hearing le, and you're probably wondering, is a French person making a mistake? No, it's not a mistake. They just sound alike. But after a while, you kind of understand that one means location and the other means water, okay? Let's take a look at the second homophone. The second is en verre and en verre. So you remember what I used in the beginning? So similar to that. En verre is what? A glass, okay? So you need a glass, and en verre is also worm, an earthworm. Let's look at examples of both of them. For an example, je voudrais un café et un verre d'eau, s'il vous plaît. So perhaps you're in a restaurant or you're in a bistro or a cafe, you can ask for that, okay? So you see un verre d'eau, a glass of water. And the other example, j'ai vu un verre de thé vert dans mon jardin. So you see, you can definitely have an idea when they're talking about a glass or they're talking about an earthworm. Because I mean, I haven't heard of anybody going to the cafe to order an earthworm, have you? So you would definitely figure it out when they're speaking to know which is being said. Let's take a look at the next homophone. The next homophone is la paye. They sound alike. So la paye means the payment, like your salary, your paycheck. And the other one, la paye, also means peace. So like, I need peace in this life, okay? Let's take a look at examples of each of them. Je vais toucher ma paye après le travail, okay? So you see that he's talking about his paycheck. You kind of get lost in that one. La paye est importante pour tout le monde. So peace is really important for everyone. So you can kind of understand this. I would say you have to listen properly to know what the person is talking about, because the person may be talking about, I want peace when I'm collecting my paycheck or something like that. But once you hear la paye, just listen properly. As I said, if you're a beginner, it's perfectly fine. Just continue listening, you figure it out. If you're enjoying the videos so far and at least you've understood the 3 different homophones, please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. Let's take a look at the fourth homophone. The fourth homophone, Lair. Lair and une air. Air. So you see they sound alike. The first one is more about appearance when you're talking about someone's appearance. And the second one just means an era. So like it's the end of an era. Lair, une air. It sounds alike, I know. But don't worry, I'm going to show you an example of each of them so you can properly distinguish when you hear it. If I say, elle a l'air malade, you know that means she looks sick. Okay, so you see it's her appearance, it's how she looks. Elle a l'air malade. Okay? And the example for une ère, nous entrons dans la nouvelle ère de la technologie. Okay? So you can see the difference. It's quite easy to pick up when you know somebody's talking about the appearance and obviously somebody's talking about the end of an era. Because I wouldn't be saying she looks like an era now, would I? No, you wouldn't know that I'm saying she looks sick. Okay? Let's take a look at the next homophone. The next is son and son. The first time I heard these two, I was like, huh, what are you talking about? Because the only son I ever knew is money, 100. So son means 100 in French, but the other son also means blood. And I remember hearing it and I was like, why are you talking about son? I mean, this is when I was still understanding the language. It was much later I figured, oh, he's talking about blood. But yeah, son means 100. You probably hear this if somebody's learning the numbers, or if you're at a store and somebody's asking you how much is something and you have to say it's 100. Or perhaps you're talking about 100 years ago, anything with numbers. And the other one is probably used in the hospital. So, or what happened, there's blood on his t-shirt, or you're watching a movie and you might be thinking, oh my goodness, there's so much blood in this movie. But let's look at examples of each of them properly. So I could go into a shop and ask, combien coûte ce sac? And the owner could respond, il coûte 100 euros. Okay, so how much is this purse? It costs 100 euros. Let's look at the one for sang, which is blood. For sang, we could say, il y avait du sang sur sa chemise. Okay, so with this, I hope you're able to understand that sang, which is 100, is mainly used for money, pain, and talking about dates. And sang, the other one, is blood. You can't mix it up. You can't mix it up. I don't think anybody can go into a store and say how much is sang and not know that you're talking about money. Yeah, definitely you'll mix this up. Let's take a look at the next homophone. The next is leur and leur. The first leur is when you're talking about their. So you're talking about the third person plural pronoun, okay, which is their. And the next one, l'heure, is talking about o'clock. So it's 8 o'clock. L'heure. What is the time? It's 8 o'clock. Okay, let's look at examples. If I wanted to say these books are theirs, I would say ces livres sont leurs. Ces livres sont leurs. Okay, so you definitely know I'm not talking about time there because yeah, the books are theirs. Leur. Don't forget it's a third person plural. If you're not sure of the third person plural pronoun or you're a bit confused on what pronouns are, you can click this video above to get a better understanding of subject pronouns in the French language. And the next example, il est 6 heures. Il est 6 heures, il est 6h30. Okay, this mainly comes when you're talking about time, when you're trying to talk about a schedule. Maybe you want to ask someone what time will you be there or what time is it. Okay, so il est 6 heures or il est 6h30. It depends, but it's mainly talking about time. So you wouldn't make a mistake with this. Please do not forget l'heure is there, the third person plural pronoun, and l'heure is mainly talking about time. Let's look at the seventh homophone. The seventh homophone is sur. Sur. The first means on, which is a preposition, sur, and the second means sure. So I am sure of him, sur. They sound exactly the same. The only difference is when you're writing, as you can see, for the second one has that little cap on it, on the U, but the first one doesn't. Let's take a look at examples. For the first one, I can say pose ce livre sur la table. Pose ce livre sur la table. So you see, it means put it on the table, sur la table. For the second one, je suis sûr que tu réussiras. Je suis sûr que tu réussiras. So you see the difference? You can probably definitely know what they're talking about. One is a preposition, and the other one is when you're certain of the person you're talking about or certain of a situation, you're sure of something. But please do not forget when you're writing, the spellings are different, okay? Let's take a look at the eighth homophone. Are you enjoying the lesson so far? I'm sure you are learning a lot. The eighth homophone, le vent, vent, and le vent. The first one you're going to hear about it most times in France, it's wine, okay? The second one is a number, 20, vent. And the third one is what? Can you guess? The wind, exactly. So le vent, the first is wine, talking about red wine, white wine, really nice. The second vent is a number, 20. And the third one, le vent, as well, is the wind. So it's windy today, the wind. Let's take a look at different examples of each of them. For the first one, j'aime une bonne bouteille de vin rouge. J'aime une bonne bouteille de vin rouge. Okay, that's for vin. So you cannot mistake it. You know that you're talking about wine, strictly wine. You can't be talking about the wind there. You can't say you like a good wind. Yeah, definitely you can't. So let's look at vent. Il est déjà 20 heures. Il est déjà 20 heures. So you see, heure is back again. If you can't remember, just rewind so you can hear what I spoke about. Le, okay? Il est déjà 20 heures. And the third one, le vent est très fort aujourd'hui. Le vent est très fort aujourd'hui. Okay? So these are the different examples. Do not forget when you hear le vent, the first one is wine. Vent is 20, the number. And the last one, le vent, is the wind. It's talking about the wind. Let's look at the ninth homophone. The ninth one, auteur and auteur. The first is talking about an author. So Sidney Sheldon is a fantastic author. And the second is talking about heights. I'm afraid of heights. Okay. So if when you listen to it, you may be like, huh, what's going on? But let me tell you a secret how you remember it, a tip. The first one, author, doesn't have H. The second one has an H. So at least when you read it, you immediately know, oh, okay, they're talking about an author, excuse me, or they're talking about someone who's afraid of heights. Let's take a look at examples. An example, l'auteur a peur des auteurs. The author is afraid of heights. So you see, even if it sounds like, you probably know that, okay, this is what they're talking about in this context. Do not worry, with time, you will definitely understand more. Let's look at the next homophone. The 10th is avoca, avoca. The first is a fruit or a vegetable. Is it a vegetable or a fruit? Avoca, avocados basically. And the second is avocat, a lawyer. An avocat, a lawyer. Let's look at an example. And an example, il y a un avocat qui représente des avocats. Can you imagine that? There's a lawyer who is representing avocados. But yeah, just so you can understand the context in which you hear it, that the first is a lawyer we're talking about and someone's profession basically, and the second is a fruit or a vegetable. Please tell me in the comment section if it's a fruit or a vegetable. Yeah, just so that I know. Let's look at the 11th homophone. The next is dans and dans. Dans is in. It means in, the preposition in. He's in the house, okay? And the second is dent, which is tooth, D-E-N-T, which is basically talking about your tooth, okay? So I know that you might, yeah, I don't even know, but you're going to have to figure out how you're going to understand this, because it's quite weird. You can hear both of them in the sentence. And I'm actually going to use an example. I'm going to show you an example, excuse me, with both of them in the sentence, and just so that you can figure out what I'm talking about. Let's look at it. So for instance, if I say j'ai une puce électronique dans mon dent, you're like, huh, Sumo? But it's okay. It basically means I have a microchip in my tooth. So you see that you can understand what we're talking about. Or another example, this is pretty simple. Le livre est dans mon sac. The book is in my bag, okay? So you can hear that definitely dans, the first is what? It's a preposition. So you know what we're talking about. And the other is just a part of your body, so that you're really sure. Let's look at the next homophone. And the next homophone is été. Été. The first means summer, so l'été, the summer. And the second is être, the past participle of être, so was, okay? So the past participle of être, which is the verb to be, is été, okay? I hope you understand that. Let's look at an example. Si mon anniversaire était en été, on l'aurait fêté à la piscine, okay? So you see how it's used, but do not worry. I think after a while you might get this, because like I said, été is a past participle of être, so you will know when to use this. It has to be conjugated. And the other one is summer. Okay, let's take a look at the 13th homophone. Le maire means what? The mayor. La mère means the sea. And la mère means the mother. Okay, so you can definitely maybe make some mistakes when you're just starting out, but after a while you kind of pick up what they're talking about. The sea, the mayor, and the mother are totally three different nouns, so you would understand it. Let's take a look at examples. First example, j'aime vivre près de la mer avec ma mère. J'aime vivre près de la mer avec ma mère. So you can kind of understand the differences, right? Let's look at the second example. La mère du maire habite à côté de la mer. La mère du maire habite à côté de la mer. I hope that you've been able to understand at least the difference between the mayor, the mother, and the sea. Let's look at the next homophone. The next is mur. The first one means the wall, just mur. And the second one means a blackberry, which is quite weird because I actually have a blackberry. Oh, it fell right in front of me here. So yes, you can actually just say mur, which means the wall behind. And you have the actual fruit, which is a blackberry. Let's look at examples. J'aime les murs dans mon gâteau. J'aime les murs dans mon gâteau. And the second one, j'ai ta photo sur mon mur. J'ai ta photo sur mon mur. So you can kind of understand it, except somebody's probably saying, I like the wall in my cake. You know that it's definitely not the same. But please be aware that the spellings are different. The pronunciations are exactly the same, but the spellings are different. Let's look at the next homophone. Are you enjoying this so far? I'm sure you are. Now, the 15th one, la peu, le peu, okay? La peu is what? The skin, and le peu can mean like a jar or a pot, okay? So a jar of jam, yeah, a jar of jam. So yeah, le peu. Let's look at examples. The first example, Les soins de la peau sont très importants. Okay? And the next one, j'ai acheté un peu de confiture. J'ai acheté un peu de confiture. Let's look at the 16th homophone. The 16th homophone is le porc. Le porc, which can mean pig, or the second one can mean like the harbor. So yeah, the port, the harbor. Okay? Let's look at examples. The first example, je ne mange pas le porc. Je ne mange pas le porc. So basically, I don't eat pork or I don't eat pig. Je ne mange pas le porc. And the second one, il est sorti du port. Il est sorti du port. So he left harbor, okay? Or he left the port. The 17th homophone, le sel and la sel. The first is salt. The salt we mainly use in cooking. And la sel means saddle. The saddle that you put on horses. So if you don't understand your different articles, yeah, you might mistake what's being spoken about here. But like I said in the beginning, with constant practice, you're definitely going to get better. Let's look at examples. Now for the first one, nettoyez votre poisson avec du sel. Nettoyez votre poisson avec du sel. Let's look at the second one. La selle du cheval est lâche. La selle du cheval est lâche. Okay? Let's look at the 18th homophone. Now, the 18th homophone is ton. Okay, so we're going to look at three different types. Ton, the first one, is a second person singular possessive adjective. It's a mouthful, I know. The other is le ton, which is tuna, fish. You already know what that is, or at least you know what tuna is. And the last one is ton, which is like pitch, okay, or the tone of someone's voice. So I'm going to look at three different samples right now. So for the first one, I could say, où est ton sac? Où est ton sac? Where is your purse? So you see, I'm talking to the second person. Où est ton sac? For the second one, I could say, j'adore le sandwich au thon. I love tuna sandwiches. J'adore le sandwich au thon. Okay? And the last one, il parle sur un ton grave. Il parle sur un ton grave. Okay? Let's take a look at the 19th one. You're still excited, right? 19th, le tic and la tic. So the first is like a nervous tick or never like somebody, imagine someone is blinking. No idea why I'm doing that, but just explain to you, like a nervous tick when someone has a tick. And la tic is the ticks that you mainly get on animals. So like your dog could have ticks, okay? Let's look at two samples. So the first one, il a un tic nerveux. Il a un tic nerveux, okay? So like you're understanding, he has just nervous ticks, okay? And the second example, mon chien a des tics. Mon chien a des tics. All right, so it's pretty easy. I think you would understand it definitely if you're a beginner, especially if it's in the context. So if you're in the context that it's being used, excuse me. So if you're at the veterinary, you definitely know they're talking about an animal. Or except probably they say, oh, he has a nervous tick when he sees ticks on a dog. Then you can say, huh, why is person using the same word? But you would understand it overall. Let's look at the 20th homophone. 20th is foie. Le foie and une foie. So le foie is liver, the liver we have in our body, and une fois is time. So like once upon a time or time, anything that has to do with time. Let's look at samples. So the first one, le foie est un organe important du cœur. Okay, that's the first one, which is the liver we have in our body. And the second one, il était une fois. That just means once upon a time. All right, there you have it, the 20 homophones that you definitely have to know in the French language. There are more, obviously, but these are just to get you started. If you're a beginner, yay, you get to learn more. If you're intermediate, tell me in the comment section, have you heard any of these before? Definitely, also what I would say is just take your time and actually listen to what the person is saying. So for instance, if you were visiting France for the first time and you hear someone say l'auteur, probably you're going on a guide, you need to ask yourself, is there a tower nearby? Because l'auteur is tower, maybe the Eiffel Tower is nearby. Or perhaps they're saying the tour is actually starting now, so you know what context in which it's being said. But I would just say have fun with it. If you make a mistake, it's fine. At the end of the day, the practice does what it makes perfect, because you hear people say this in movies, you read it in books, and you hear how the natives actually speak. And that should hopefully inspire you to want to pick up on one or two of these homophones and actually try them out in conversations. If you loved this video, please do not forget to give it a like, share, subscribe, and comment below what part of the video you love the most. Until the next time, bonne journée!